Welcome, YouTube trolls. This is Our Android Week with Alan Furstenberg in New York, Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia, Duke Carrico in Kingsport, Tennessee, Michael Banks in Augusta, Georgia, Nate Swanner in Portland, Oregon. This is Our Android Week. And welcome, everyone. Look forward to your comments in the from YouTube, from our regular fans and our new ones that have been praising us as we go. So, Alan, happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, Dan.
I don't know if you're a veteran, but my dad is, and one of our panelists is not here tonight. Michael Banks is a soldier, and we thank him for his service. And then today, I know the president had a gentleman who's believed to be the oldest veteran from World War II. His name is Richard Overton. He's 107 years old. Every morning, he has a tablespoon of whiskey in his coffee, and he smokes a dozen cigars a day. And he's 107 years old. At some point, the doctor is just going to stop nagging you, right? I mean, you've already made it to 107.
Well, chances are good you're outliving your doctor, so.
Right. He's probably on doctor number 3 by now.
Yeah, I got to tell you, my favorite Veterans Day story of the day is the 3 of the 4 surviving raiders of the Doolittle raid over Tokyo performed their farewell toast to their fallen comrades today, or yesterday, I believe. So that was the Veterans Day story that stuck in my mind the most today.
The what's the term? The bravest generation, I think. I remember my parents, when they were kids, had to put tape or black plastic or something to cover the windows because they thought they were going to have bombing raids. And they got new products because they were sending everything to the soldiers. And the women worked in the factories because the men were fighting. And that's when margarine came into vogue. And they would throw it against the wall to add the yellow food coloring and stuff because everyone thought it had to be yellow. You couldn't have white margarine, you know. It was a time, and a fearful time for them because, you know, we know I was born 20 years after, so I know the ending, you know. They didn't know the ending and how long it would be and what would happen. So we salute them for their service every day, but especially today. So let's talk tech. Mr. Furstenberg, I know you suggested this story. The first story is about battery life. And Craig Shipp, who is our resident troll on Google Plus Week, did a video praising the iPhone 5S as the best phone ever in every possible capacity. But you found at least one area where it is not up to snuff.
Not up to snuff is an understatement. Apparently, according to these tests that were conducted, and these were tests that were conducted by Which Tech Daily, whoever they are, they found that in their tests, the absolute worst phone in terms of battery life is the iPhone 5C, which is okay. The second worst is the iPhone 5S. And then after that is a Nokia Lumia. And best of them are things like the Samsung Galaxy S4, the HTC One Mini, the HTC One. So, you know, all of the Android phones have great battery life for things that people want to do, like talk on the phone or use the internet, while other products seem to have far worse life. It totally surprised me when I read this, and I'm curious to see if any other researchers have similar results that can validate this. But it was interesting. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I think it's a big deal. I know that I've come to love my Note 2 because of the battery life. You won't make it through a day of heavy use, but you can buy those kits. Can you change the battery on an iPhone?
No, you can't.
Okay, so they're back to the,
And in fact, the iPhone were the first ones to offer the sealed containers.
and I guess that's for. I think you told me that once before. It's not necessarily a cost savings measure. It's
Well, it's a combination of cost savings and the fact that you can create larger batteries if you don't need to worry about making sure people can swap them.
could a tech go in there and do
I
it?
don't remember what the rating is on the iPhone 5s. I know that different phones have different rating. iFixit, for example, rates every phone on their repairability scale. I believe the iPhone 5s was rated a very, very low repairability, while most Android-based phones are rated somewhat better. The Nexus 5, if I remember correctly, has a very good rating on repairability.
See, one of the things, one of my salespeople is just constantly on the phone, which is good because she sells a lot of ads. But she has a Samsung, I don't know, S2 or S3, and I got her one of those kits with two batteries and a charger because the Samsungs you can just pop the back off really easy, pop the battery in, and so she has three batteries now and a charger. It was $28 or something, but that's not an option. So basically, if you want to go to the can, you got to bring your charger if you're an iPhone user, and the HTC One is the same thing, I think, and some others. So there. Okay. So most of our viewers probably will not have to worry about that issue with the iPhone, I would think. All right, and then another.
But they will have to worry about making sure they have the right color Moto X, won't they?
Absolutely. So this is interesting. I see that this is a big. Do you care about this? I guess you could have your logo put on the back. We could put the Google Plus Week and our Android Week right on the back of our phone.
I didn't think it was
Um,
that significant. I didn't think that was a component of it. The big deal here is Motorola made a big deal about how the Moto X was so customizable. You get exactly the phone you want delivered to you within just a couple of days, as long as you're on AT&T. And all of the other carriers and anybody who wanted an unlocked phone, tough. Um, you're stuck with black and white. So what this news is that they've confirmed that coming out within the next, I believe the next month, they said, all of the carriers will have support through the My Moto customization tool. So, that'll be good. That's, just the right thing to hit at just the right time. It's going to be coming out during the holiday sales season. So that's good. But I'm kind of disappointed they didn't launch it this way from day one. And there is still no official word about whether the wood grains that they've been talking about are going to be available or not.
do we know why it was just on AT&T?
AT&T wanted the bragging rights. They wanted the exclusivity. Who knows?
And they probably got
They paid more.
some advantage. I mean, I'm sure maybe some people switched over. I guess.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like all of that significant a change to make people change carriers.
Unless your contract is off and up when you're getting a new phone, you're waiting for the phone.
Yeah, I guess.
And
I
this
don't know.
isn't like an iPhone or a Samsung phone. I mean, Moto X is not, I'm guessing, a hot seller. I don't know. Maybe it is.
The Moto X sold modestly well, although it's also had a price drop recently, and that seems to be helping it out a little bit from what I understand. Um, no, it's not the best-selling phone out there, but it's still a very solid phone, and a lot of people like it a lot.
Okay. And they can get it in different colors. Can't you just get, I wonder, do they make custom backs? Like if I wanted, like if you wanted your company logo on the back of your phone? I
I'm
was,
sure you can. You can probably get a custom case with that. I think the big deal, though, is cases add bulk, and people are rebelling against the bulk.
I see them in the streets on CNN. Um, that wasn't funny. Okay, so, all right, moving right along. Next up is this is another one you showed us here. Verizon still won't let Nexus 7 on its LTE network and is now blaming Google.
Yeah, this is just really rich. When the new Nexus 7 rolled out, a lot of people were annoyed to discover that although it had LTE support, it didn't have officially Verizon LTE support, and you couldn't call up Verizon and add it to your plan. And a lot of people, Jeff Jarvis being the most vocal of them, were
Indeed.
really pissed off about this. They were even more pissed off when people discovered that if you just took the SIM chip out of an existing Verizon phone and put it in the Nexus 7, worked fine. There was nothing that prevented it from working. There were no obvious technical problems, and this really infuriated people. The biggest reason why it really infuriated people is that under the terms that Verizon purchased the license for the spectrum, they were required to basically let anybody who was technically certified make devices that could use it. And here was a case where apparently they were going back on that. So initially Verizon said, no, we're not rejecting it. It's going through testing, and Google's doing the testing, and as soon as it's done with the testing, it'll be approved, no problem. So this has now been what? A month and a half, 2 months? And there's still no sign of it. And now what they're saying is, well, it was having some trouble with some of the tests, but Google says the forthcoming Android 4.4 release will fix these problems. So they're going to retest it once Android 4.4 comes out. And a lot of people are kind of looking and going, why would a software change make it work?
Wouldn't it make more sense to merely delay the 4.4 on Verizon devices rather than delay the device? Because they'll test all that stuff before
none
they
of this makes sense, to be perfectly honest.
When, let's say I have...
Well, the argument would then go that Verizon would still need to retest it with 4.4, which would delay things even further. So, I don't know. There's a lot that doesn't make any sense about this. As usual, I maintain that we're talking about Verizon here. These are people that, if they hadn't been given a dial tone, they would be unable to generate one themselves. So I really have very little faith that Verizon can do anything. Yeah, I don't know. It's Verizon. I really think that's about all that needs to be said.
It's the fastest network, isn't it?
Depends who you ask. I don't know how their LTE stacks up against everyone else's LTE.
Because I'm on Sprint. I think it's the slowest.
They've got good coverage. I'll grant them this. But, as cell phone companies go, they suck. Most cell phone companies do, but I think they tend to suck more than most.
Okay. The only one that's good is T-Mobile, and I can't get T-Mobile because of where I live. So that sucks. All right. So another big win for Verizon. I'm sure this will not placate Jeff Jarvis.
Oh, it did not. No.
Okay, so...
But the follow-up question is, okay, so if it's going to take Android 4.4 to get a Nexus 7 to work, when is the Nexus 7 going to get Android 4.4? For that matter, when is everyone else going to get Android 4.4? And that's our next topic, conveniently enough. And the answer is, as usual, totally unclear. So for the Nexus devices, Google is saying it will be out in the next few weeks, whatever that means, unless, of course, you have a Galaxy Nexus, in which case it will be out in the next few nevers. But we beat that horse to death last week. Samsung has started announcing they will be rolling it out eventually. HTC has indicated they've got a fairly aggressive schedule to try to get the 4.4 out. Even Motorola has said they plan to have 4.4 out on their devices relatively soon. So all of that's very promising, I think.
So in general...
We'll believe it when we see it, of course, but it's promising.
The whole point of buying a Nexus device is you're supposed to get the newest version first. Um, as I sit staring at my Nexus 7, which has 4.3, and it doesn't. So if you bought an LTE version, even if it was working on Verizon, the Google will, if you don't have an LTE version, you just have a Wi-Fi version of let's say a Nexus 7 or Nexus 10, what have you. Google will just push out the new Android directly to you. But if it's an LTE version, wouldn't that be delayed after pending carrier approval?
In theory, no. It's not supposed to need carrier approval. That's part of the point of LTE, is that it's a standard. And if you can prove that it meets the standard, every carrier is supposed to accept it.
Except Verizon.
Well, they're special.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about new versions. Next up is when will my Android phone get KitKat? Mine likely will never get it.
Dan,
Did I miss something?
that's what we just talked about.
I thought we were still on Verizon.
No, trust me, I try to forget Verizon as quickly as I can.
Okay.
We just talked about it, really.
Okay. I didn't see the shift. So I'll never get it right on my Note 2.
You're going to be lucky that if you get 4.3 on your Note 2.
Yeah, because let's move to that one. That's the next topic. Samsung service centers have access to the Note 2 4.3 update. They currently have 4.1, so they skipped one. And they're still, 4.4 is the best and newest, coolest, but 4.3 is a big improvement over 4.1. Not as big an improvement like Gingerbread to Jelly Bean or,
It was ice cream. And yeah. I think one of the key things to remember about the entire Jelly Bean line is that they were supposed to be fairly quick and easy upgrades between the levels. So the fact that they are doing this at all and have taken so much time to do it is kind of disappointing. But regardless, it's great to see that they're finally getting around to doing it. And like I think I said last time, it'll be interesting to see who gets the upgrade. Whether you are going to get your 4.3 upgrade before I get my 4.4 upgrade.
Yeah. I'm surprised I don't have KitKat on my Nexus 7
Why?
because I want it now.
You're so greedy.
I'm ADHD. I don't have patience.
Let's face it, Dan, we've got the Nexus 7 2012 version. They already stopped caring about us. We're
That's
going to be
for sure.
lucky that we're getting 4.4.
You even have a white back. You've got the original version.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be lucky that we're getting 4.4. They don't care about us.
I'm surprised there wasn't more of a stink that the microphone wasn't in the thing. That the jacks were all bad in the first iteration.
Which just goes to show just how many people actually used it.
I use it on the can. It's a
We
great
really don't want to
flipboard,
know more details, Dan.
I have
really.
photos. I can show you.
Trust me on... Oh,
Okay.
Did you pull a Scoble?
Oh,
Please
God,
don't
no,
tell
I
us.
don't have photos. You kidding me? Who wants to see that?
Nobody! We don't even want to talk about it.
Especially with
Next subject.
the new smell apps you can get.
God.
Okay.
Did we actually cover this topic about how Samsung service centers have access to the Note 4.3 upgrade?
Well, they do, apparently. And so it should be... Basically, that was just a little... By the way, it's getting closer, So I guess they're training their people. I don't know. It's a sign. It won't be long. I'm happy with 4.1. I'm sure there'll be cool stuff on 4.3. Maybe they'll get all new bloatware.
The big deal about 4.3 is that it's going to be able to access the Galaxy Gear.
Will it work?
Which-
And the Nexus Q. The support's built in for all the people who have Galaxy Gears. what would we say on, I think it was on this show or on Google Plus Week, which is at Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific, Friday, on YouTube Live. That it was a 20% return rate.
30%.
30%.
It was
What a
on this
fail.
show that we discussed the 30% return rate for Galaxy Gears.
Jobs was good at coming up with stuff you didn't even realize you wanted it or needed it, and then it was good, and you bought it and liked it and used it. Very
The
limited
gear,
product line.
the gear, if they released the gear when everything was in line and it was a halfway decent product, maybe people would have cared, but they just, I don't know what they were thinking with it.
It has not gotten rave reviews.
Well, for good reason. It sucks.
Yeah, I think the Pebble. That's another kind I wouldn't want. I want
The
like if Sony comes out, Sony's coming out with a really good looking one.
I
And
disagree. The Pebble is a visually pleasant design, and it addresses a lot of the problems that the Gear had. And then when I say addresses, I mean it came out first. But the Pebble at least had some thought applied to the design. Somebody there said, "Hey, people don't like recharging their watch every 8 hours or 6 hours." So the Pebble has a battery life of weeks. That's a good design.
yeah,
Um,
that's like a Paperwhite Kindle.
well, I mean, it uses some of the same technology. And it was somebody who actually understood how people are going to use it and how people could use it, designed it, built it, and are using it. Whereas the Galaxy Gear really looks like it was a bunch of people said, "Oh, everyone's making a watch. Let's make a watch. What is it going to do?" I don't know. What do watches normally do?
You can
I
put
don't
apps
know.
on it.
Yeah, you can put apps on it. What are the apps going to do? I don't know. What do we usually do with apps?
Well, Samsung does
We
just
have cameras. Yes, we'll put a camera on it too.
It's
People
like,
are nuts.
I mean, I'm sure they have fans for the product. Like the Note 2. Bruce and I both have the Note 2. And I have, I used the stylus to play with it, and oh, neat. And then I stuck it back in there. And the only time I haven't pulled it out in like 6 months. And the only time I ever do is when someone says, "Isn't that the one with the thing?" And then I say, "Yeah, look." And then I say, "You can do a shopping list," but I never actually use it. Now, Bruce uses it all the time, loves it, couldn't live without it. So maybe, I'm sure that 20% of the people who have bought the gear like it and use it. I will buy a good smartwatch when it comes out, but it's not out yet, in my humble opinion.
Nope. I think the Pebble's pretty close, but
But everyone will learn from the gear and from the Pebble, hopefully, and come up with something really epic.
don't
Because
bet on it.
it'll be it's going to be, um, it's not going to be, these are not standalone devices, so they're not that expensive, I don't think. They're not going to be that expensive because they can't make them that expensive. It's an accessory. But it would be convenient for all the, as a notification device and other things. And things I haven't thought about. So,
Anyway, next on our list.
next on our list is Quick Office. Gets an update with more Google Drive integration. This is a very popular suite of, it's a suite of apps that lets you open up a Word doc and edit it, save it, open a PDF, that sort of thing. And Google bought this app and is obviously pushing hard to get more Google integration with their other suite of products, especially Drive. And I think it'll also, I think they built in like for Dropbox as well. Is it? I'm pretty
I
sure.
don't know if it has Dropbox support, to be honest. The big news on this is that I guess about a month or two ago, it came out with Drive integration. So that was when they fully started rolling it out, and there were some odd quirks about it. So that if you were trying to edit a Google Docs doc, it wouldn't. It would, whereas if you were trying to edit a Word doc, it would. So there were just some, it was like it was sort of working with Drive, but not quite working with Drive. These changes make it work a little bit better with Drive. So we can see that they're not resting. They're trying to make these tools more unified. And this is just the next step in doing so.
Yeah, Drive is awesome. It's still simplistic in ways where it shouldn't be, and difficult in ways it shouldn't be. We're trying to figure out if me and a guy in North Carolina can both sync the same directory, so whoever puts the newer version in, it'll sync, and we can't figure that out yet. Some other things we're trying to do to actually use it. Dropbox is far simpler, but I'm in the Google ecosystem, and I'd rather use the Google product because it's all built in with each other.
I think in a lot of ways the two are similar, but people try to compare them and make them equivalent, and they're not.
Well, one way that Dropbox is superior is I could send someone and they can just get the thing.
I do that with Drive too.
I swear to God, I don't know if they're technical morons or what, but some of my staff, they like Dropbox. They can't figure out Drive. I had one guy, I think I had to go to his house and show him how to use it. And you got to be logged in. You don't have to be logged in with Dropbox, I don't think. If you set the settings to say,
Yeah, you do.
this link is public or anybody can get to it.
You're leaving public Dropbox links? Really?
If it's a file that I don't care about.
What's your name again, Dan? What's your Dropbox account?
I'm like that guy,
so...
the security guy, puts his social security number on the billboard. No, we have like certain things. Like when I'll put a PDF that's a proof of the newspaper for the sales reps and whoever to look at, I don't care who sees that. We don't make it public, but if someone did, it wouldn't matter because it's going to be public in an hour or two anyway. Not my tax documents or something. My secret, secret things. Okay, so one comment here from Rich. He says, I disagree with you guys regarding the Galaxy Gear. He said if it would allow me to talk into my watch and send a voice to text email to myself, that would be something I would do. I would actually have used it today while at the gym. A song came on that would have that I would have used Shazam, and it would have been very easy. I would never bring my Note 2 to the gym because it's too big. Interesting. That's
well, but and here's the thing. It's not that I'm dissing wearables. Obviously, obviously I'm not dissing wearables. But I think that wearables need to meet certain requirements in order to be useful products. The Pebble meets many of those requirements. The Gear does not. It does not even come close. Google Glass meets, I think, many more of them than Gear did, as an example. And what I really am eager to see is when people start coming out with more and different and better form factor wearables that address some of the issues. I think the other big problem with Gear, of course, is that it was so tied to Samsung's ecosystem that it really makes it a kind of badly designed product.
okay. And then another comment from Devesh. He says both have publicly shareable folders. That's correct. You can't upload, you can't create a directory unless you're logged in, but you can grab something. But it's not an intuitive interface. If you're not if you are not, some people just don't get it for whatever reason. One of my main writers, my managing editor, he just couldn't figure it out, and then it took me like half an hour to get him to.
I'll be honest. I've seen people have similar problems with Dropbox, where they will share something with me and they're sharing a link, and if they update the file, the link is no longer valid. I've seen that problem many times. Dropbox is no more or less intuitive than Drive.
All the people who use Dropbox when I tried to switch them to Drive, I got hostility, like YouTube commenter hostility.
I was about to say people are hostile when they have to change.
Yeah. Um, but and then I tried the FTP thing to send the newspaper PDFs. They're huge files, and there's 40 of them, right? Because you have to send each page separately. The printer, the guy making the plates in Martinsburg, it was like it kept aborting. I couldn't FTP it, so he's like, email it. I don't want to email the freaking 40 files, 40 emails. So I said, let me just stick them in Dropbox or in Drive, and he couldn't. He's like, I'm not creating a damn Google account for the, you can drive up a CD if you want. It was just really frustrating. So anyway, enough about that. Okay, so do you use Quick Office?
I haven't installed. I don't use it all that much.
They
Mostly because I don't really use Microsoft Docs anymore.
I think every phone has something by default, at least the carrier phones, that will open and let you read a doc. You may not be able to edit and save it or create a new one. Maybe you can edit it, but maybe you can't create a new one. But I think most of the phones you buy at a carrier have the ability to open up a doc or PDF for at least for viewing.
Well, PDFs, yes. Docs, mostly. But, the file format's still incredibly popular, but it's losing popularity pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got it because I think we talked about it when it was in the news, and I never use it because, like you, I just it's not a pleasant experience to be reading a big document like that on my phone. I'll just do it when I get on my desktop. So I'm still a desktop guy. I hate my laptop. Hate it. I use it when I have to use it. I'm using it now for the call that Alan's in. Okay, next up is Rich Hat. I'll put his comment up first. He said, Dan and Alan, were you guys mentioning in a past show that it's possible to use Google Hangouts with SMS messaging? I would like to be able to send text messages through an app on my Note 2 and let go of my text message plan, which is $20 a month.
This isn't it.
This is a different thing?
Well, no, this isn't so much a different thing as this won't do what he wants. The story that we're about to talk about is that we've talked in the past. Oh, okay. Nope, we're on a different story. Go ahead, Dan.
I thought we were on that. This story is Hangouts with SMS rolling out to ICS and Jelly Bean.
Okay, that's the story we're on. Fine. Yes, Hangouts with SMS are rolling out to Ice Cream Sandwich and Jelly Bean users. But this is not quite what Rich said he wanted. What we've talked about for a little bit now, and this first came out with Android 4.4. This is the Hangouts app is the new default SMS application. So if you want to send a text message to somebody via SMS or via MMS, you'll be using the new Hangout app. For the rest of us, in Ice Cream Sandwich and Jelly Bean at the very least, we needed to wait a little bit until the new Hangout app was released. And it is now starting to roll out to people. What the new Hangout app lets you do is, in addition to start Hangouts, Hangout text chats with people, you're now also able to send text messages to them using SMS, using the exact same app and using the exact same user interface. So this is, it's not getting rid of the ability to send SMS. It's not getting rid of the ability to send someone an SMS message without having to have an SMS, a text message plan on your carrier. But what it means is that if you get a text message from somebody, all you need to deal with is one app, whether they're sending you a Hangout text message or an SMS message, or you want to reply to them with one or the other. It's consolidating the number of apps you need to take care of.
And MMS, the picture mail's also planned, right?
It's part of it. that's built in with this.
Because that was one thing you couldn't do with Google Voice. I can I've used I text with Google Voice, and I love it because I can do it. I have Sprint, so I have unlimited everything, so I don't have to pay extra for texting. But I like Google Voice because I can use it on my phone, and then when I'm home, I can leave my phone in the car. I don't even need to bring it in the house because all my stuff is on my desktop. My text messages and voicemail comes in through Google Voice. If I get a phone call, it rings in Gmail, and I can answer it, and I get a little pop-up. I don't get that horrific Hangouts interface that you get if you answer it in Google Voice or Google Plus. But I can just about anything I can do on my phone, I can do from my computer. It's very convenient. But picture mail you can't. If someone sends you a picture mail, so that's going to change. So that I'm not sure how it's going to work though, Alan. Like I know your phone number, but what if you didn't want me to know your phone number? And how can you send and receive SMS? Ostensibly, this is relevant if you're communicating with someone who's not in the Hangout or doesn't have the Hangout app, because otherwise it would be irrelevant, right?
Right. But if you want to do that, then you use SMS. Or you use another client like BlackBerry Messenger or the client we're about to discuss in a minute.
So have you seen the concept of this? I'm trying to picture this. Like this.
I haven't seen it yet. I've talked to a couple of people to try to help them through some of their problems that they've had with it. It's not obvious in every way. There have been times that I've seen a lot of people do things like accidentally send a message to someone using Hangouts instead of SMS when they wanted to use SMS. So it wasn't as obvious as I think everyone expected it to be. But when you receive a message, it's at least somewhat obvious if you're receiving it via SMS or Hangouts. So as people are getting used to it, it's not nearly as bad.
What is the practical application? I guess to communicate with people who have feature phones? I mean...
Yes.
And you could do it...
Or to communicate to people on other carriers who may not be running Hangouts, or because you have their phone number and you may not have their other contact information, or any of a number of other reasons.
Yeah, it is... Yeah.
I mean, what it really boils down to is what this is it means that you can communicate to somebody no matter what they may be using. It's the open communication protocol that people wanted 5 or 10 years ago. Well, we have it. It's called SMS. So, you deal with it. What Rich was asking about is he wanted to be able to talk to use SMS without having to pay for SMS. And that's Google Voice. And Google Voice is not yet integrated into this. Although they have... I don't remember if they have either hinted at or strongly suggested or said that Voice will be... In fact, I believe it is. They have said that Voice will be coming, but it's not in this version yet.
Okay.
So we will see that last integration and one more program that we'll be able to ignore.
You think they're going to, at some point, merge Voice and Hangouts and
Yes.
screw it up? And
No.
You're optimistic on that?
Yeah.
People note the time and date that Alan said that there would be a smooth integration between Voice and Hangouts.
Considering that right now Google Voice has been nearly abandoned for like 2 years, and it's a miracle that it works at all, I don't think integration will be all that as bad as other integration has been.
The thing is that Sprint provides, they have a deal, and I think someone else is getting that deal. I think that was in the news this week. But if you're a Sprint customer, you can activate Google Voice on your phone using your existing phone number. So basically, instead of the regular messaging app, you can use Google Voice, and you don't have to use a third number or a second number. And so that's really cool. I think another carrier is going to get that. I don't know who. I can't remember. But I think that is one of the things that is preventing them from dumping it. And they keep saying like it'll be free next year and next year. They keep
Well, what I'm kind of hoping is that as we approach 2014, and they're getting ready to announce that once again Hangouts will be free for another year, or sorry, that Voice will be free for another year, that they take that moment to say, oh, and Voice is now integrated into Hangouts, and we've got all of these great new tools that let you work with it, and the transition will be smooth and seamless, and you won't notice a difference.
Okay. A couple comments before we move to the other app, and I see you had switched stuff around. I was looking at the post, not the actual doc, so I didn't catch that.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay, so what is the end thing then? Davesh asked if docs are out, and then I think you responded to him. You said lots of people are moving to the cloud, the, the Google Drive docs and stuff like that, or other
Yep.
things. We still use the doc format sometimes with OpenOffice. Any new computers, I don't buy Office. If it's a Windows computer, I'll buy. I'll just get OpenOffice. It's great. It's free, and now that they support DocX, but I'll tell you, it's a hassle. I'd rather they send me an RFF or RSS, RFF,
RTF,
RTF.
rich text format.
Yeah, because then I can just open it up in WordPad, or because I hate having to wait for OpenOffice or Microsoft Office to open, for Word to open. It just takes too long. And WordPad's super fast. It's real simple. It works. You know, it's a universal format I can use on any device without getting a special app. I just like it. Um, and then Rich had the problem I have had with Dropbox is I want to go from a free account to buy storage, and then uh, the next plan up is $10 a month. I don't like having to pay for data every year when you could just I don't see the rest of that. Oh, do what Craig Ship always recommends and buy an external hard drive. It seems that Dropbox makes you always pay every year for 100 gigabytes, and then when you stop, they will delete your files. I already got burned once with Carbonite. Am I not understanding Dropbox?
No, I
Um,
think you're under. The big thing about Dropbox over an external hard drive is that you're able, and this holds true for Drive as well, is that you're able to create folders that get shared with other people. And this can work fairly transparently. So if, in one of the things that I commonly do with the people I work with is we need to share various um, graphic assets or mock-ups or other things. And it's far easier to just drag it into a shared folder, and it's there. And if a week, a month, 6 months down the road, I need to say, oh, where did that graphic file go? It's in Dropbox. I know where it is and I can find it easily. And if somebody else had put it there, it's just as easy for me to find it via this method. Then, oh, did that get emailed to me? What was the name of it? Juggling things by email is kind of messy. Dropbox just lets you organize things and place them in logical ways for you. And I think Drive adds to this because you then have the power to organize your drive with these various project folders in whatever fashion makes sense to you, and someone else can organize their folders in whatever fashion makes sense to them.
okay. Um, and then
So don't get me wrong. I don't think cloud storage for these sorts of things is a perfect backup solution, and you shouldn't be treating it as your only backup solution. But it is a very, very quick and easy way to exchange files between people.
and periodically you should go in there and look and see, like, what am I? Do I really need this? I think there was a post I got. Oh gosh, what's her name? It was about an app to go through your Gmail, and it tells you it sorts by the size. Uh, and she found out that like half of her storage was being used by 8% of her mails or something, and so she was able to delete a bunch and free up a bunch of space. I mean, I pay them every month, and it's just cheap. I don't know how Dropbox prices compare to Drive, but I think it's $5 a month or something, and you get 100 gigabytes. I got that. I mean, that's you know,
We have this great question from Miles, who asked, any thoughts on why iOS got the Google Voice integration into Hangouts, but Android still hasn't? I think part of that is timing and juggling on things. And I think part of it is that on the Android side, they're really trying to make it a much bigger product rollout. So we'll see it soon, but we're going to see a bigger deal made out of it on the Android side. That and the Android version of Voice, as I understand, it's a much more complex version than the iOS version of Voice.
Also, Vinny says you can send SMS from Google Voice, but the recipient doesn't see your number, not your phone number nor your Google Voice number. I think it's the Google Gateway's number. I don't think that's accurate. I know it's not accurate on Sprint because if I send Alan a text,
Sprint is just different. You can
because it's actually
but I'm pretty sure when I've sent texts from my Google Voice number, it correctly includes that on the other side.
we'll do a quick
there
test.
might be a setting
Alan,
to
I'm
mask
gonna
it. I don't know.
I'll send you a text to your phone, and then why don't
Dan,
you text me back?
Dan,
Yes.
A, you're on Sprint, so it doesn't matter. B, we're in the middle of a show.
We can still
So
text. I was just thought we could test this. Okay, if you don't want to do it. All right.
no, I'd
Okay.
rather the show finish,
There you go.
sometime within 4 hours.
All right. Next up.
And it's really thrilling to watch two people texting live on the air.
Okay, so the new Facebook Messenger for Android.
Yeah, this is the interesting counterpart to the previous story about how Hangouts are including SMS, but Facebook Messenger, which is a very, very similar product, is eliminating SMS compatibility. I thought that was kind of interesting that Facebook chose that route, especially contrasting to what Hangouts are doing. I think, in fact, that was about the only feature that was that changed on this. Oh no, it's amongst other. You'll find SMS support is gone. You can send messages to people in your address book that you haven't connected with yet on Facebook. So there's something kind of creepy for you. You can send text messages to people who aren't part of your social network. It's still in beta. They're still not official yet, but it's rolling out, and you can get your hands on it if you want to.
Okay, so for all the folks who use Facebook, which is, I mean, most people.
And probably all of our trolls.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're not here voluntarily, and they're not happy about it. All right. And this rumor about explain to me. There's a picture floating around with BlackBerry having the Play Store on their phone on a new one. I don't understand. Does that mean that they're going to have an Android thing or some kind of ability to use?
I haven't seen the picture myself, but it can mean one of two things. Either they are introducing Android compatibility, which is certainly an interesting way to try to save their lives, or they're giving up on BlackBerry's operating system, which is another interesting way to save their own life, or it was a fake. I'm more inclined to say that it was a fake, to be perfectly honest, or wishful thinking on somebody's part.
Okay. It's a Gizmodo article. I'll share my screen here. This is BlackBerry getting the Android? Okay, so first they troll the company, blah blah blah. How can you fully capitulate to its Android rival by allowing Google's Play Store for Android apps to run on BlackBerry 10 devices? That's what's suggested by leaked screenshots from Crackberry, which appear to show a scuffed-up Z10 playing with Android runtime and displaying the Google Play storefront. While the screenshots could, of course, be Photoshop jobs, BlackBerry 10 does support the Jelly Bean build of Android, meaning it's theoretically possible. If true, this is one big if. It's basically an admission that BlackBerry's own BlackBerry 10 App Store is lacking in the killer apps that attract users to its Google-owned rival. Support for Google Store could help direct users to BlackBerry's solid hardware. I agree with that, without fear of being appless. Perhaps most interesting of all is a suggestion that by opening up to the Play Store, BlackBerry is making its first step toward ditching its own software in favor of Android altogether. That would be huge news. Could the BlackBerry brand live on through hardware if the company decided to join the legions of other smartphone manufacturers that license the Google OS? So that would be neat because, I mean, I've always been a fan of their hardware. I like their physical keyboards. Their phones were nice. The screens were too small, but I mean, it was basically like a feature phone, feature plus phone, you know. They had apps and stuff, but it wasn't like a full-blown thing with like an Android or iPhone.
It'll be interesting. One of the big things to realize is Android does support an external hardware keyboard. It was designed with a hardware keyboard in mind. So it's not entirely unrealistic. And the people who like BlackBerry like having an external keyboard. So we'll see. I think it's an interesting possibility. We'll see where it really goes.
There are a lot of people who like BlackBerry. There are a lot of people who like the form factor. One thing we know for sure is they won't be licensing iOS, so this will be good for Android and good for Google if they did this. I don't know why they waited so long. I guess arrogance and stubbornness. Anyway, okay, so there. I snuck that topic in there behind when Alan wasn't looking. Okay, so next up, AT&T will include Lookout security software on all Android devices from now on. This is the thing that it's a popular app. I don't have it because I don't have an AT&T phone, but basically you can locate. I assume you could shut your phone down, or you can find it, make it. Maybe you can make it make noise if it's on silent and you can't find the thing, that sort of thing. Google is including this in KitKat, or they did something to where all future Android will have this built in automatically.
Well, we all now have the new. There's an app available for I think 4.0 Android 4.0 and up that lets us track where our phones are and lock them out and remotely reset them and all of that fun paranoid stuff, which is certainly part of what Lookout does. Lookout's very popular, very, serve that same kind of need. I don't know what else it does, to be perfectly honest. So I'm not entirely sure why AT&T feels the need to include it. But, yeah, okay, whatever.
Why in 2013 is this just happening? Why wasn't, like, on the first day that phones had GPS, why wasn't this automatically? I lost a tour, a BlackBerry tour, I think was the phone, and I left it in the parking lot at the grocery store. Some guy found it, called me, said he was going to call me back and give me the phone back, and he never did. And then he started downloading apps, paid apps on the phone. So he straight up stole my phone. And I called the company. I called Sprint. I said, I want my phone. They said that...
Dan, here's a better question for you. It's 2013. Why in the world didn't you have your phone screen locked?
I don't know if... I don't know. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't have left it in the freaking parking lot. It was my fault.
Let me get this straight. You would rather have security and peace of mind in the event that your phone is stolen instead of having at the cost of reducing your battery life.
No, I wanted to know exactly where the phone was so I could go down and beat the shit out of the guy.
Oh, sure, but in order to get that, you're going to have a lower battery life.
I don't care.
Is that a fair
I have
trade-off?
a Note 2. It'd go days on standby.
Well, it's going to go fewer than days on standby if it's pinging its location every so often. Right?
For that once every 8 years when you lose your phone.
Right. And like I said, why don't you lock your lock screen?
It's a pain in the ass. And I don't need to now.
So you're saying it's more worth it to not have to deal with the pain in the ass.
I don't even have...
At the risk of somebody downloading all sorts of apps.
Yeah, because I got it all taken off. I just lost the phone. I mean, it was like $100 deductible. I got a new phone. I'll
So
find you
so it was so it was that
one
worth the
day.
pain in the ass. Okay, fine.
I like to. I mean, I don't even have the slide screen, let alone lock screen. I just hit the button and it comes on. Once in a while, I'll pocket dial somebody, but that's the price you pay.
You're making Craig's case for him. You realize that, right?
All right.
Anyway, our
So
recommended apps of the week.
recommended apps of the week. I'll go first, I guess, or you want to go first?
You tell me.
I heard this on WTOP as I was driving um, to Costco, and this is not the one that they were talking about, but it's the idea is a hyperlocal weather app. But so I'll share my screen. This one's called Arcus, Arcus, and it uses the dark sky, whatever the API or the information from forecast.io. The idea is often if you go to like weather.gov, which I love, weather.gov is great. That's the official National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration because I guess they administer the oceans and atmosphere. But they usually they'll have the current conditions from your local airport, and they'll have sort of a general, in the town of Bentonville, the town of Front Royal, or the town, New York City. They'll have the weather, but this actually, some of these apps will actually look at your exact location and tell you, it's going to rain in 16 minutes. I mean, that kind of thing. And so it's kind of neat. It's a free app. And on iOS, I guess you can get the actual Dark Sky app, but I looked for it on Android. I couldn't find it. So, like, here's an example, Boca Raton. It says for the next hour, breezy, partly cloudy for the hour. And then there's, it'll show you, like, things going up and down. But the whole point is that they can estimate better than the general forecast you would otherwise receive by actually looking right at your GPS location, exactly where you are. And you can get a more accurate forecast for you. So my recommended app to check out, basically look for the term hyper local weather, and you can find different ones. There's one for flights to tell you your flight, what the weather's like from point A to point B, and that sort of thing. So there's some different ones. I'll try to find the link to the actual audio where the lady was talking about on WTOP, and then you can listen to exactly what she said rather than my paraphrasing of it. But hyperlocal weather, kind of neat, especially if you're planning a cookout, for example, or something like that. You really want to know. Then there you go. This one's called Arcus, Arcus, hyperlocal weather, and it is my recommended app of the week.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Alan.
My recommended app of the week is Google Opinion Rewards. This is something neat that rolled out fairly recently. Actually, rolled out last week. What you're able to do is install the app, Google Opinion Rewards. Once a week or so, you'll get a little notification in your notification bar saying you've got another survey to take. You take the survey, and they give you 50 cents, 75 cents, a buck in play credit, which is great if you want to buy something, buy an app every so often, and it costs 99 cents, and hey, that's a pain. You're essentially getting it for free now. So here's some screenshots. Here's an example. You'll just get the Google Play credit added up and accumulating. The questions are short and simple. When do you plan to buy your next car? Well, a year, next year, who knows, who cares? I don't think I've seen a survey that takes up more than seven questions, and that usually takes me about 30 seconds to answer most of the time. So, short, simple, gives you some good benefits. Google Opinion Rewards.
So you just download it when you want a time waster, and you they pay you in Google credit to answer questions.
Yep, you download it, you'll get the notification, and when you have 30 seconds or a minute to spare, answer a few questions, get a few pennies for your time.
So, Craig Shipp could make a lot of money at that because he's got so much time. He just sits around all day.
This is great. This is actually Davis's question. Is I heard Google's now paying for you to participate in surveys they're sending. Do you have any info on this? Now you have the info.
Excellent. Boy, that's good timing, huh? What are the odds of that? Buy a lottery ticket, Devesh. This is your lucky day. So that's cool. That's neat. And I wonder if they're doing it to get the information in general, to get a survey result, or if they're getting it to know that Alan is interested in buying a car so I can deliver ads that are targeted, or if they're
They
doing
have
it for a
said-
client.
That's a great question. And it says in the terms of service that your information is collected to be aggregated and is not tied to you, but that you're it obviously needs to know about your account so it can give you the rewards. But the information is not meant to be individually associated responses. So it's not meant for ad targeting.
Unlike this program where we can read the minds of our viewers and deliver targeted recommended apps based on what they're asking. This is like the...
And if you think our mind reading on this show is good, you should tune in on Friday nights, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, for Google Plus Week, where we will just blow your mind.
This reminds me of a really funny Onion video where they said that whatever newspaper is tailoring its print edition for its last 2 remaining readers. And they said, well, ABC did a big feature on this new movie coming out. And they said, yes, it's next in so-and-so's Netflix queue. So they had like 2 or 3 readers left and they were tailoring the whole print. Okay. All right. So anyway, this was fun. We appreciate the comments. And I was hoping for some YouTube trolls, but we didn't get any. Maybe they'll come later. With my provocative headline. So thank you, Alan.
Thank you,
had a
Dan.
nice Veterans Day. I don't know if I guess you worked all day like usual, probably.
Well, I'm a veteran, so it was foremost in my mind.
What service were you in?
I was in the Air Force for 4 years.
Oh, my dad was in the Navy. And I have really flat feet. And I talked to a recruiter, and they laughed in my face and said I was wasting my time. Nobody would take me. But I went to a military school and I ended up teaching at one. But I could not serve. But I appreciate your service. Thank you for that. Okay, folks, we thank you for watching. And to all the veterans out there, thank you very much for your service. And like I said, we try to think about, remember the gifts you've given us every year, every day of the year, but especially this day, Veterans Day, and some other holidays. So thank you. We're here every Monday, ostensibly at 9 p.m. I think the rest of our panel was doing a little too much celebrating today and did not make it. But we had a full panel last week, and hopefully we will next week. But I thank Alan, I thank the viewers, and this was fun. So until next time, have an awesome, wonderful Android week. Take care.